Hey wrestling fans, it's Sean from the Scumbags of Wrestling. It might not look like Christmas right now, but it is around the corner, and you won't want to miss out on this amazing deal in support of Sick Kids Hospital on behalf of Steven's Wrestling Journey. Right now, if you contact me at scumbagswrestling@gmail.com, you'll get this amazing t-shirt designed by Nigel Lewis for just $30. And because it's Christmas, I'm going to throw in this stocking stuffer of a poster, 11 by 17, for free. Now you can still get this poster for $15, but you can get the whole combo for $30 right now until December 15th. So contact me at scumbagswrestling@gmail.com and support Sick Kids Hospital in Toronto and Steven's Wrestling Journey.
And we are live. Welcome to episode number 133 of the Scumbags Wrestling Podcast. And hopefully you're joining us live on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook, whichever one you're part of. Thank you for joining us each and every week. We're also available on audio, whether it's Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and anywhere else you get your podcast from. Tonight, we're going to be looking at news, some opinion about what JR has said recently. Look at Ring of Honor's upcoming Final Battle card, TLC happening this weekend, and then we'll also look at a little bit of Ontario and this week in history. But we can't do that until we bring in our panel. And we'll start with Jonesy from not Toronto, from Niagara.
No, I'm from Niagara. The other guy is from Toronto. So I've been in Toronto. And I heard they got some snow.
Ooh.
Let's find out how much snow they got today.
He's shaking his head on the other side. I'm not seeing this, but we did get some snow in London, and who knows how long we're going to be able to enjoy it because we might be in lockdown soon. But from Toronto, transported from London, Steven, how are you?
Good. No, we didn't. I'm right downtown Toronto. We didn't get any snow here.
Oh.
Some snow in the west end of Toronto, closer to Niagara and Hamilton. But for the most part, the city of Toronto was
spared.
Lucky. We missed that. Yeah, I mean, I can still see green grass. It's more like mud, but I mean, that's pretty much, it's not that bad at all.
Yeah, it's probably going to be a green Christmas the way things are going.
That's okay.
Yeah, not much to do if you're stuck in the house anyways. We have a comment from somebody. Street Talk Wrestling. What's up, guys? Hello, George Mackay. Good to see you tuning in. Hopefully we'll hear from you later on. If you'd like to join, definitely send me a message. But George Mackay actually has a interview up this week with Kyle Boone, the Wavemaker. So definitely check out George Mackay with Straight Talk Wrestling. But we're diving into Scumbags Wrestling Podcast and some unfortunate news that came out on December 10th. And that was the passing of Tiny Lister, a.k.a. Zeus, the Human Wrecking Machine. So let me just bring that up. Somebody did send a message. Nope. So yeah, unfortunately, Tiny Lister was passed away at age 62. He was born June 24th, 1958. Passed away December 10th, 2020. Wrestling fans would recognize him as Zeus, as I said, basically from 89 to 90. He was the arch nemesis of Hulk Hogan, or Rip, in No Holds Barred. Obviously, as the movie, he ended up losing and then brought it to the real world of the WWF and didn't like the fact that he was marqueed second to Hulk Hogan and lost in the movie and wanted to seek revenge. And so then he started going after Hogan. We eventually saw him teaming up with Randy Savage and Sherry to go against Beefcake and Hogan at SummerSlam. He was part of Ted DiBiase's team with Powers of Pain going against Hogan, Roberts, and Demolition. That's Survivor Series. And then we saw him again at No Holds Barred, the match, the movie on December 27th. I think Jonesy's going to bring something about that up later on. But they were teamed again with Savage in a steel cage against Hogan and Beefcake. And that was pretty much the end of him at WWE. He had a couple of appearances on Brother Love, stopping Hogan from getting into a cage on Saturday Night's Main Event. And then, of course, because Hogan must always go against somebody that he did in WWE or WWF, he brought him into WCW in '96 and was part of the uncensored team of the Alliance to take out Hulkamania in that really bad 3-level, 4-compartment steel cage match. Had the Faces of Fear, the Dungeon of Doom, Flair, Anderson, Lex Luger, I think, was in it. Somehow they ended up out of the cage, into the ring, back to the cage. Beefcake showing up with frying pans. And somehow Hogan and Savage ended up winning, but that was the end of you saw Z Gangsta. So of that, guys, what are your thoughts on Tiny Lister, Zeus? Just those memories of his interaction in wrestling.
Go ahead.
I mean, unfortunately, I remember him more of Z Gangster, which ruined it for me. Because, I mean, when did No Hold Barred come out? Like 90-ish, early 90s?
89, because that's where he showed up in 89, basically wanting his revenge. So I'm pretty sure it was 89.
So I was 6.
12th, 31 years ago is when it came out.
So I was 6. So I don't remember it. That, like, No Hold Barred until I became like a teenager, and then and then watching more of that, because it didn't make sense to me when I was a kid watching Zeus just show up. But I remember Z Gangster and going, "Oh, this isn't going to be good." And then I'll give WCW credit for trying to have something unique, because that was unique. The triple cage, that could have been really good, but it was WCW. So,
and it was interesting that they had it at the back of the arena and a ring there, and then the regular ring and the entrance to the side of it. It was odd
because you had
that match is the absolute worst match in WCW history as far as rules. No, we'll make it up as we go.
Yeah, they had to escape different pods to get down and all that, and then they were supposed to get through the whole cage, and they did, and that still didn't end. So yeah, thankfully they did not go back and revisit that monstrosity, though they did do the triple cage when they had Ready to Rumble, and they actually had it over top of the actual ring in the center of the arena. And it was a little bit different rules that way, but they did also do a triple cage that way. NWA did, I believe, in the mid 80s. You can see that as I think on the War Games DVD that WWE put out. But yeah, so that's basically Zeus's career, Z Gangster, that way. But other people outside of wrestling and even wrestling fans would recognize him from a whole lot of movies and TV shows, including Beverly Hills Cop 2, 9.5 Ninjas, Universal Soldier, Immortal Kombat, Don Juan DeMarco, Friday and Next Friday, Barbed Wire, Jackie Brown, Judgment Day, Little Nicky, Austin Powers, Gold Member, Santa's Sleigh, The Dark Knight, and Zootopia. and there was just a huge long list on the Internet Movie Database of what he's been in. So I guess he had a way better career, thankfully, away from a wrestling ring. He had the look, but just not the talent. So unfortunately, rest in peace, Zeus Tiny Lister.
He was also in the movie The Fifth Element. He was the president. He actually had a fairly large role in that.
Yeah,
And
I believe I
it
saw that.
came out about 2 months ago. Mistake I made.
So diving into some of the news, you guys feel free to put in your input along the way. I'm also watching the comment section. Vince McMahon has sent some of the big men back to the PC on Tuesdays and Thursdays to work with Adam Pearce and Drew Gulak to work on some of their in-ring work. Not surprised about a couple of them being Dabba-Kato, Osmos, or whatever he wants to be called, the guy who's with AJ Styles, Mace. Otis kind of a little bit surprised me, but I guess they want him to be a little more safer in the ring. But I think the very big surprise was that Keith Lee, former NXT champion, who got just recently brought up to the main roster, is sent back. And he also had a 24 special. Does that surprise you at all that, of all people, Keith Lee sent back?
No, because they're not sent back. They're going there to do work. And from what I've read, and it seems like Otis and Keith Lee were selected, especially because McMahon sees big things in them, and he wants them to refine their skills a little more.
So hopefully it's a good thing.
I have no problem with them continue to working on their craft, especially Otis. That needs to happen. Keith Lee would surprise me a little bit, but then if you think about it, just like Tyson Dukes at the Wrestle Factory, they still work on everything. Like, you're gonna have people pop in. If this leads to something bigger and better, I don't have a problem with it. I actually think it's a smart idea to, if there's anything that they are like, oh, we got to work on this a little bit because, you know, we're going to have you work with Brock Lesnar leading into WrestleMania season, or you're going to win the Royal Rumble, or like, there's something long term with this and they want to correct or help fix a few small things, I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, and I get thinking as you were saying, I'm talking about that. It's unfortunately the pandemic time has reduced them down to working one day a week or twice if there's a pay-per-view, as opposed to when things were normal. They were working 4 days a week and once or twice on TV, but they were still able to work on their skills in front of a live crowd. They're not able to do that right now. So if that rumor that you're mentioning that they're as a refinement to get them to a bigger thing, and there's a light at the end of the tunnel and a plan for them, then yeah, hopefully it's a good thing. They are still on their main roster destinations, whether it's on Raw or SmackDown, because we saw both of them on their respective shows, that being Otis and Keith Lee this past week. So hopefully that's a good thing. Though one person that did surprise me that's not on that list was Nia Jax, who has a huge reputation for hurting people, or at least being in the wrong place at the wrong time and people taking a bad fall, whether it's her or just, as I said, wrong place, wrong time. But surprisingly, she wasn't on that list.
It doesn't surprise me, though. If you don't have something, say, planned long-term for her, why do you care?
Yeah, I can see that.
As
Goldberg,
bad as that sounds.
Yeah, and she's in a tag team right now with Shayna Baszler. So unless they break them back up and have her go after Asuka or something like that, she is being hidden a bit with Shayna.
Well, that's the thing. I don't see Nia Jax long term being a single superstar where you've got at least Keith Lee who could become a superstar. So don't necessarily have a problem with it.
Yeah. Chad Peterson is saying Sting is hurt. He has his neck is broken. Happened about 5 years ago when he ended up retiring. AEW is crazy if they think they're going to actually get him into the ring, but if they do, it's probably going to be a cinematic match. And speaking of Nia, they ended up taking out Lana on Monday, so she's out of that tag team match coming up on Sunday. Goldberg is still trying to get his match with Roman Reigns that was supposed to happen in WrestleMania, but there's talk that actually is not going to happen. It's a lot of talk by Goldberg to try and spark things, even though he does have a 2-match contract per year and he's 53 years old. He's also possibly going to go. There's talk that Roman might actually get Drew McIntyre or Dana Bryan at WrestleMania 37 instead of Goldberg, and even The Rock appears to be out of the picture due to movie obligations. So cousin versus cousin, and The Rock passing the torch in a way to the tribal chief doesn't seem to be in the cards for WrestleMania 37 at the moment.
I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
You don't waste that match with no fans.
Yeah, if they can get fans, then Rock against Roman would be awesome. But yeah, fans definitely need to be in place for that. On an interview with Bleacher Report, Goldberg also basically called out fans for wanting to take over shows and their chance rather than enjoying their time. I think he's a little cranky at the fact that people see through his smoke and mirrors and boo him for showing back up every once in a while.
Shocking.
Yeah. Kenny Omega was on both AAA Triple Mania Saturday and also Impact Wrestling's pay-per-view or special that they had. I think it was Retribution or something like that. I forget their name offhand, but he was backstage. Rebellion. He was backstage with Carl Anderson and encouraging him to bring back the old Machine Gun Anderson from Japan days. But then he ended up also retaining his AAA championship on Triple Mania. So then this past Tuesday, he was back on Impact. They even had Tony Khan and Tony Schiavone do their paid advertisement, making more fun of Impact Wrestling. And they also had the Good Brothers teaming with Omega, beating up Motor City Machine Guns and Rich Swann. And that's going to lead to a match at their next event. So you're going to have a 6-man tag involving the Old Bullet Club taking on Rich Swann and Motor City Machine Guns. And, of course, that'll lead to Swann against Omega for the title. And Omega will be doing his belt collecting stuff that way. Doesn't look like Impact Wrestling is getting anything in return for or giving anything back to having this whole AEW invasion. They're looking very weak, underdogish, and they're not even really retaliating. Your thoughts on this whole AEW Impact, who's benefiting stuff?
Oh, me?
Anybody.
I'm supposed to care. I'm supposed to care again. I don't really get it unless there's going to be some Impact wrestlers show up on AEW. Problem is there's not a lot that could go over. I'm thinking the Good Brothers. I thought the North, but it looks like Ethan Page is piecing out on Impact, which I don't blame them.
He's done it at the end of the year.
Yeah, and then I think a few months after that, Josh Alexander's contract's up. So I'm assuming WWE, but because Lord knows AEW doesn't need another tag team that they won't know what to do with.
No, they're loading up with a lot of tag teams, unfortunately, and going to get lost in a shuffle.
I just can't think of anyone on Impact other than the Good Brothers, maybe Motor City Machine Guns, and the whole women's division, which AEW desperately needs, but we'll talk about that in our review. I don't see the benefit really. I mean, AEW or TNA's or Impact, whatever the fuck they're being called these days, gets a lot of rub from having the big company there, but
even the numbers were down this week because people realized they can just watch it online in the clip segments that they want to see instead of watching the whole show.
Yeah, I tried to watch it this week. It was very painful. I didn't make it through because, well, my sanity is better than watching the horse shit. So I can't, the two shows are going to be enough to make me stop watching. I swear the only reason I watch AEW is because we do this show on Thursdays. Because at this point I would have
You can be like me and just watch it only if you want to.
No, I've got to be a good person.
Carry on with some of the news. This past week on SmackDown, Big E lost in a match against Sami Zayn where he got counted out after crawling under the ring after Zayn. And he ended up cutting a really impassionate promo on Talking Smack, which was seen Saturday morning. And he basically said that, it's his time to do stuff. He's letting God take the wheel. It was just really, as I said, impassioned in it. And when he was finished, Paul Heyman gave him an applause that said, that's the guy that everybody's been waiting to see. And that if he continues on that path, that the New Day is going to be a footnote in his history of what he did, but it will be lesser part of what he does as a single if he continues that passion. Would you agree with that, Paul?
Sorry, hello?
Hey.
Oh, you cut out.
Oh, weird. So I said about Paul Heyman wanting Big E to keep up with the passion, and if he exhibits the same passion that he said on Talking Smack, that the New Day will just be a footnote in his history, and he'll have a bigger career as a singles. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, but the problem is I don't believe that they can leave well enough alone. That's the problem. They just can't leave well enough alone. It will start good and then it will turn into, they'll do something stupid. It's what I've come accustomed to being frustrated with.
Understandable. Tomorrow night on SmackDown, Bayley is going to take on Bianca Belair, and the tag team titles are on the line as Street Profits defend against Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode. Sting is still under contract to AEW, as we saw last night, and he did his lovely wink to Cody. and his third week of being with AEW. But on December 23rd, he's actually going to be part of the new DLC pack coming out for 2K's Battlegrounds. So this is probably the last video game under WWE banner that he'll be involved with. Also coming out this week, or on the 23rd, includes Sheamus, Montez Ford, Diesel, Ric Flair, Roddy Piper, Razor Ramon, Bret Hart, and more. There's also going to be a special arena introduced. And then for some unknown reason, Angelo Dawkins, Montez Ford's tag team partner, isn't coming out for another week after that. But if you're a player of Battlegrounds, there's some more people coming your way as characters. And the new arena. Tony Khan, Taz, and Scott D'Amore have been in a war of words on Twitter after comments made this week during the paid advertisement with Tony Khan and Tony Schiavone, still insulting Impact, and I think they're just still playing it up. I don't think Scott D'Amore is enough to fuel a legit concern for AEW and this rivalry that they're trying to create between Impact and AEW. There's charges being laid against a man in Japan who harassed Hana Kimura and suggested that she take her own life. I guess they were able to trace back messages sent to her in Japan after incidents that happened at Antera's house. That's a show in Japan as well. And earlier this year, she ended up taking her life, probably depression and being bullied online. And there was apparently from 600 different users, people harassing her, but they traced the most from this other guy who they haven't identified, but they're charging him with cyberbullying and everything. So I guess in this age of internet and chatter, we'll see how laws change and if something can come about this. I know apparently Kimura's family is wanting to at least set an example and maybe set laws that will prevent other people from being cyberbullied to the extent where they take their own life. Jake Roberts has been... I just heard a little feedback, sorry. Jake Roberts has been missing from AEW lately. He's been feeling under the weather, but stated that it is not COVID, and he's going to be off TV for the next 2 weeks and hopes to be back in time for their New Year's Smash special. Jackie Gata and Charlie Haas have split up and divorced. Charlie Haas recently did a shoot interview this week, and he was almost unrecognizable compared to what people remember him in WWE for. He's bald and now down to 215 pounds. He looked almost homeless from the picture that I saw. So, yeah, unfortunately, that couple that got together in WWE are no longer. Vince Russo spoke up recently about Keith Lee, and he thinks that what's going on with him being sent to the PC and losing this week on Raw to Miz and Morrison is just Vince McMahon flexing his muscle and taking Lee down a few pegs. Of course, this is coming from Vince Russo, so take it with a grain of salt. And final news note was that AJ Styles recently was parodied on Impact when Swoggle dressed up as the Wee Nominal One and was with Gallows and Anderson. And AJ didn't know that that was happening, but has since seen it and enjoyed it. And it was also enjoyed by talent from Impact and WWE. So that's the news and notes for this week. Just going to quickly run down everything that happened on AEW Dynamite last night, which was not that great of a show. Basically, Private Party and Matt Hardy ended up winning over Adam Pearce and Reynolds Silver from Dark Order. Not very eventful match. Hardy started doing a heel thing and picked up the victory after Gin and Juice was done by Private Party. Cody and Brandy announced that they're going to be parents in 2021. And congratulations to Brandy and Cody. I guess the upside also to it is that Brandy will not be in the ring and doing anything with Jade Cargill and Shaq. So thankfully, a stork is coming to rescue the wrestling world.
Will Dustin look after her while she's pregnant?
What's that?
Will Dustin look after her while she's pregnant and be there by her bedside?
Who knows? We'll find out. But he apparently is still being courted by the Dark Order to be number 7. Throwback to WCW, which I actually do enjoy that fact that they're trying to at least make comment on that. The Acclaim beat SCU. Not much there, just some rappers, and Kazarian sort of was not overly happy with Daniels after the loss. So who knows if they're going to be splitting up SCU. The Inner Circle beat Top Flight, Best Friends, and the Blondes in a 12-man tag team match. Top Flight then went after Jericho and MJF, setting up a match for next week. We were talking about this online in Messenger, Steven and I were, and we actually counted all the dives that happened during that. And surprisingly, it was a low number of only 4 during a 12-man tag.
It was very surprising.
Yeah. The words of Jim Ross might have gotten to a lot of people, at least this week, to make Jim happy. Then there was Serena Deeb and Big Swole. They beat Ivories and Diamante. After that match, there was a brawl, including Nyla Rose and Red Velvet came out. So there's probably going to be a 6-woman tag team match coming up soon with them. And of course, Kenny Omega beat Joey Janela in the main event, while Don Callis and insulted Tony Schiavone and did commentary on the live host mic. And then he was confronted by Pac, who ended up announcing that Phoenix is going to get a match for the AEW Championship on December 30th, I believe that episode is. And next week's Dynamite will be at 10 o'clock or somewhere after that, after a basketball game. So you won't be missing it when you tune in to us next week, because we're going to be on Wednesday and to avoid being on Christmas Eve. But yeah, so next week is the Holiday Bash, as I said, after 10 o'clock. And then they're doing December 30th, New Year's Smash Night 1, featuring Omega against Phoenix, and New Year's Smash 2 on January 6th with Snoop Dogg on commentary.
Oh, dear God.
Yep.
No, I didn't think Snoop Dogg was doing commentary. I thought he was. I don't know. I know what's his name's doing commentary night 1.
Jericho?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah. No, I think he brought Snoop in to do commentary for night 2 because he did some sort of commentary on that Tyson match a couple weeks ago. And convenient timing that I guess his deal with WWE was also coming to an end, because it was a limited run with the Undertaker and Snoop Dogg cross-promotion T-shirts. Or WWE just got petty and took them all off. But there's talk that it was a time thing. It was limited. Last night on NXT, Johnny Gargano and Austin Theory beat Leon Ruff and Kushida. Tommaso Ciampa beat Tyler Rust. Kyle O'Reilly beat Pete Dunne to earn a title shot against Finn Balor at New Year's Evil on January 6th. Shotzi Blackheart beat Indy Hartwell by DQ, and that was due to interference by Candice LeRae, so their battle still can continue. Karrion Kross returned to in-ring action and beat Desmond Troy. Kross then challenged Damian Priest to a match at New Year's Evil as well. Toni Storm ended up beating Rhea Ripley in the main event. And that leads to this Sunday on the WWE Network is TLC. There's 6 matches officially announced. 2 of them are going to be TLC matches, but there's not going to be individual matches of a tables match, a chairs match, and a ladders match. But oddly enough, the 2 main titles are on the line in the TLC matches. So first up is Roman Reigns defending the Universal Championship against Kevin Owens. As much as Kevin Owens is going to put up a fight, the big dog, the leader of the table, the tribal chief, whatever he wants to be called this week, Roman Reigns is going to end up retaining. Steven, your thoughts? Because I know, Jonesy, you're not watching it.
I mean, anyone at this point, I'm going to guess leading into WrestleMania, doesn't have a chance against Roman Reigns. So I'm not really sure why any of us should care about that match. And I don't really. So...
Yeah. Because they got build up Roman Reigns as a dominant force, and taking out Kevin Owens and stuff like that. It hopefully is going to be a good match, but you know what the outcome's going to be. The other title on the line is the WWE title, and that has Drew McIntyre defending against the phenomenal AJ Styles, and this also is a TLC match. It could go either way, honestly, and with Raw ratings going down as far as they have, would not surprise me if they pulled the trigger and had AJ win it, but I'm honestly going to keep Drew McIntyre as the champion. Steven?
I'm going to guess Drew McIntyre, because even with the ratings dropping, you can't really change. Like, it would make no sense to go in and start changing the world champion. If you legit have a long-term storyline and plan for Drew McIntyre's run, then don't. But I also can see them going
the panic button.
Well, that's the thing. I can see them pulling the panic button, but I think it would be not smart, because I just don't see the need. It's not like Drew McIntyre's had this long run and it's clearly proven, like, house show attendance is down because, like, he hasn't had the shot with the people in, like, the house shows and stuff. So it's, to me, it makes no sense. But I don't. I have no idea what they're going to do. I mean,
I feel, like I said, going to keep it on Drew, but the way Vince has been lately, that unfortunately would not surprise me. A title that I do see changing hands on Sunday is the New Day 10-time tag team champions, dropping the titles to the Hurt Business, Shelton Benjamin and Alexander. Steve?
I would have thought so, but I think, again, they're going to be so freaked out about the ratings that they're not going to want to do something that is going to hurt long-term the story. And I really think they won't move it off of the New Day. It doesn't make sense to me.
Okay.
You know what I like to see? I like to see the New Day retain the belts, but then they go turn heel and sell the belts, because they've won them enough times and they don't need to defend them anymore, and they sell them. Then they have to have a tournament.
Yeah, but they're a kids act, so unfortunately, them turning heel probably won't happen.
Well, they can be bad, but they can still be good for kids.
The SmackDown Women's Championship is on the line as Sasha Banks takes on Carmella.
Carmella looks terrible there. It's a bad bit.
Very bad bleached hair. She actually got rid of the bleachedness, I think, this past week on SmackDown and looked a little bit more normal with some highlights in there or lowlights to balance it all out. But yeah, that bleaching was a horrible job. I don't think it's time for Sasha to drop the belt. They're going to somehow probably build it up eventually for Sasha against Bianca, even though right now they're both fan favorites. So I'm sticking with Sasha retaining. Steven?
I'm going to assume that Sasha Banks retains, but honestly, I honestly have zero care in the world about this one.
The women's tag team titles are going to be on the line as Asuka and now a mystery partner challenge Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax for the tag team titles. It was supposed to be Lana in there, but yeah, they really decimated her leg, sent her away in the meat wagon and carted her out of there. Even though she got like the biggest win of her career, folding up Nia Jax on Monday. Rusev taking credit for teaching Lana that pinning combination. People can look back on how it was done and see how he's definitely tongue-in-cheek on that one. But it looked like originally that whole program was revolving around Lana and eventually putting Nia through a table. But now with her out, who knows? I've heard rumor that Charlotte could be back, and she was supposed to be back maybe this Monday, but could be back as early as Sunday and team with Asuka to go after the tag team titles. If that happens, could be seeing new tag team champions. Steven, another item?
This is one of those, I guess I should pretend to care, but I don't. So, okay. Yeah, I probably should, but I can't. It's horrible. You've got Shayna Baszler, who's probably one of the best women's wrestlers out there, in this horseshit. It's just
it's with Nia.
Yeah, which I get what they're trying to do to make that seem more important, but it's not, and I really need them to stop trying to push her because I can't.
From Chad, Becky is supposed to come back too. Unfortunately, I don't see that coming until at least WrestleMania at the earliest, since she just gave birth to their child. And just want to give a shout out and welcome to Trevor Harris, wondering what up, nerds and scumbags. So welcome, Trevor. Always a good guy to talk to. And the final match that we have on this list for Sunday is now going to be a Firefly Inferno match. And that's going to have the Fiend, Bray Wyatt, taking on Randy Orton. Alexa Bliss has been off of TV for the last couple of weeks, so hoping she returns somehow. But yeah, these two feuded before, and Orton burned down the shack of the Wyatt families before, and then recently burned Bray Wyatt, but the Fiend was on the outside. They're doing a lot of smoke and mirrors with this. I'm guessing that this one will probably be a cinematic match as well, like their House of Horrors match was. Any thoughts on this match?
Don't make me.
That match could be interesting if they do pre-tape some of it and do a neat split like they did on a couple weeks ago. Because in an Inferno match, in a way, why would they even do an Inferno match on TV? Yeah, it looks kind of cool, but that's more for the crowd than the people watching it on TV. So I think it could be a cool looking match with the right lighting and all that other stuff.
Yeah, it depends on where the setting is. If it's going to be in the Thunderdome, or
and they won't have to worry about an accidental lighting of someone else getting like a first blood. This way, if the wrong guy gets set on fire first, they can go, oh, edit, click, click, there you go.
And Trevor's saying he's tired of gimmick matches between these two. I kind of agree with you in that regards, Trevor, because, well, we saw the giant sperm that swam down to the ring at WrestleMania when they went against each other. I don't know what it is about Bray Wyatt. I think he's a good wrestler. He's got an amazing character going on right now with the Fiend and the Mr. Rogers thing, but for some reason it just doesn't come together when the bell rings. And a lot of his things have just been really bad. Like, I don't get it. I don't know if it was the initial loss to Cena years ago at WrestleMania, the loss to Undertaker at WrestleMania. Something is just not clicking, I guess, fully. We've already seen Orton burn down one thing of the Bray Wyatt's family, so I don't want to see it happen again. But how do you get out of a match, an Inferno match, and burn Randy Orton? So the Fiend has the right clothing for it to happen, like how Kane did. So unfortunately, I'm going to go with Randy Orton for this victory.
You think
Steven?
maybe Bob Orton is going to come down and save his son in this one?
Let's hope not.
It's in
I actually
Randy
think-
down Orton's father's house.
Steven?
I actually think the Fiend's going to win. Because if they literally do all this and have the Fiend lose, you might as well just open up the Fiend's mouth on national television in the middle of the ring and piss down his throat, because you've just killed them.
Oh, I get that. Like, that's one thing that is hard to see. It's like, why is this not working? I love the idea of when he was the cult leader type deal, and when it first started with the Wail and Mercy sort of gimmick, and then they made it all supernatural like the Undertaker, and kind of ruined it. Excuse me. So
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I should care more, but I can't anymore.
understandable. So that is TLC that's going to happen this Sunday on the WWE Network. They're bound to announce a pre-show match on the kickoff, and who knows, they might even add another match to the show involving Sami Zayn and Big E tomorrow night on SmackDown. So that's what I had going on. I was going to also mention, and this is kind of a conversation that our viewers that are here can also chime in on. I guess Jim Ross has gotten a little bit of heat.
Hold on. I thought we were going to talk about ROH really quick.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, let's go into ROH, and then we'll talk about Jim Ross. This Friday, tomorrow, going against SmackDown is Ring of Honor. So, Steven.
So it is ROH Final Battle 2020. So I'll go over the card. I don't know if you guys have been following ROH much since it's come back, but the pre-show, the winner gets the ROH TV Championship match later in the show. It's Tony Deppins versus LSG versus Josh Woods versus Dak Draper. Then the main card is Danhausen versus Brian Johnson. The Kingdom, Michael Bennett, Matt Taven versus The Righteous, which is Vincent and Bateman, which is going to be insane. Pure Rules tag team match. It's Tracy Williams and Rhett Titus versus Fred Yahi and Wheeler Yatu. Pure Championship match. Jonathan Gresham, who just won the title, I think, about a month ago, versus Flip Gordon, which this should be a really good match. World Tag Team Title Championship match. Jonathan Gresham, as he is a dual title holder, and Jay Lethal versus PCO and Mark Briscoe, because Jay's out hurt. World TV Championship, Dragon Lee versus the winner of the four-way in the pre-show. And the ROH World Champion is Rush versus Brody King, which, again, should be a very good match. Yeah, this is on Fight, ROH Honor Club, and Traditional Pay-Per-View. It is pre-show at 8. The pay-per-view goes on at 9. It's obviously from Baltimore, where they've been taping their shows. I know. I don't think you guys have been really following ROH, right, since the reboot.
No, I haven't gotten to see much. I had seen a match or two of the Pure tournament. I like those rules. It's a whole lot different and refreshing compared to Spot Monkey flips and dives all the time.
So if you get a chance, I mean, I probably won't watch it tomorrow. I'll probably wait and see if I can find it online because I'm cheap. But if it will be a good pay-per-view, if someone's looking to spend some money, I'd personally recommend the ROH pay-per-view tomorrow.
Yeah, and as you said, 8 o'clock pre-show, 9 o'clock main show. And what was that, 2 or 3 matches on the pre-show? So you're not going to have a lot of...
One four-way.
Oh, just one four-way, okay. And with the winner going on to the main show.
Yes.
So, yeah. Definitely check that out. Jonesy has stepped away for a moment. So what I will mention is the fact that Canadian Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame presented by CWN is going to happen on January 18th. It's a Monday night. Join Chris Maloney and myself as we run down those who were voted in by the fans from the lists of people that we were nominating. The results have been tabulated. I guess we're not revealing those until the night of, so definitely tune in. There's a special 9th award going to be presented as well. And also a quick plug for Go Hard Pro, that's happening next Thursday on YouTube. It's a crowdfunded event from Ontario, started by Brandon Caulfield, Holden Albright, those who know him that way. A lot of different people, including Von Vertigo, Gabriel Frueza, Brad Myers, Alexia Nicole, Scotty O'Shea, and a few others. I don't have the full list in front of me, but that's happening also next Thursday. Go Hard Pro on YouTube. Next Wednesday, I'm actually going to have Holden Albright join us, and he is going to be able to plug the show. We'll find out how things are going with that, how it all came about. If you have any questions for Holden, be sure to contact me on our Facebook page or scumbagswrestling@gmail.com. All the other things are down below running here. So that's the Ontario scene. Definitely also, if you're looking for Christmas gifts, look at Hammerlock Apparel. Tyson Dukes has a great line of clothing. Support local and give these guys all some love. Before we dive into this week in history, just wanted your opinion on something that happened. It got a little controversial from different people, whether you're talent in AEW, including Brandon Cutler, who surprisingly got cut from his match on Dynamite last night, and also a couple other talents that wanted to remain anonymous. And also people like Jim Cornette had chimed in as well on his drive-through. I listened to that. But it came on Jim Ross's podcast, Grill and JR, and they were talking about some stuff. And he ended up bringing up the fact that super kicks and DDTs don't seem to matter anymore. And what used to be finishers are just spots. And one of the quotes that I have here from that show was, I told a kid the other day in AEW, and I said, all you guys do the same fucking spot. You go to the outside, you cluster up like quail, you stand together, friend and foe, side by side, so you can catch some leaping idiot going over the top who never wins with this move. They never gain an advantage with the move. You know, the holy shit chant is what got that going, I think. They love to hear it. Holy shit, holy shit, holy shit. This is awesome. This is awesome. It's a spot, folks. It's a trapeze act. So basically, as you hear there, he's shitting on the fact that every match seems to have that same spot. People diving over the top rope. When there's a big cluster of a match, they're all gathered together waiting to catch their guy coming off the top rope or over the off the top turnbuckle. And it just looks way too choreographed. And as I said, it's trapeze. And then when you got things like the Young Bucks doing super kicks all over the place, and Shawn Michaels used to put people away with a super kick. You got people doing DDTs as a setup move. Meanwhile, Jake Roberts used to kill people with a DDT. Are people better now than that? It just doesn't make sense. It's taken away from the art of wrestling and the fundamentals. And I totally agree with Jim Ross. But what are your thoughts on what Jim said? And is he right? Is he wrong? Is there a happy medium? Steven, your thoughts, and then we'll go to Jonesy.
We can definitely, I can tell you right now, I agree with Jim Cornette full-heartedly. I am so sick and tired of watching multi-man matches or where there'll be a whole bunch of people being at ringside. They all cluster up. Then there's some stupid dive off of the ropes or running dive. And then the crowd starts yelling, holy shit, or this is awesome. No, it was when you only saw it maybe once a night, or if you were lucky, once every pay-per-view, maybe once on the big shows. But now it's you can expect at least it to be every other match. Sometimes every match. It's to the point of where it's just ridiculous, and I hate it. I mean, it's overdone. That's the problem. And the super kick used to be a move that would be actually important, not just a spot. And now it's everyone throws a super kick. It's just to the point where it's ridiculous. The DDT, exact same thing. I would love to get someone like a Tyson Dukes opinion on it, because I'm almost positive he'd be on side JR, because you don't need to do that. It's dumb. It's stupid.
And that's where the Ring of Honor Pure division has at least something different. Jonesy, your thoughts? of what Jared said.
A lot of the same guys with the same type of style. That's part of the problem. But in the same, Ric Flair used to do the exact same move set for how many years? Go to the top rope, get caught, blah 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 blah. It's not like that stuff hasn't been seen before. It's just now more people participating in the same gag. Their timing needs to be better if they're going to do that type of stuff, because it's starting to look more like you're at a Broadway show and we're going to do a production of wrestling. And when you stop there and you look and you see another guy waiting, and it's like you can't if you're going to do that type of spot, you need to be able to set it up really quick, or if they're not ready in time, then you need to do something else. Like, again, I think the dives are fine through the ropes because those are better timed. The ones at the top, it gets, especially when they start doing the sequence of that, where they get up and another guy comes down, they all get up and another, it's like, oh my God, fuck off. That type of wrestling is fine once a night, but it's almost like having two midget matches. Once you've seen the first one, you're like, oh God, not another midget match. No offense to midgets.
Same's going to happen on Sunday with 2 TLC matches. But yeah, I miss the fundamentals that, as we've talked about, Tyson Dukes definitely is a proponent of that. But also, there was that time, especially in the 80s and 90s, where maybe the guys all had only 5 moves of doom, but those 5 moves, especially the 5th one, was never used by anybody else and made it special. But when everybody's using the same move, it's hard to make it special and meaningful anymore.
A lot of the wrestlers nowadays, when they're in the ring, seem to want to just blow each other's egos. And by that, I mean the 80s guys especially, and even the 90s, whatever they had, they knew how to stretch it. They knew how to tell a story with it. They didn't do things like goofy little things in their matches that would take away from their character. Like when you're being goofy in the ring, you expect that guy's going to be afraid of you or anything. It's just they're not telling the story. They're only telling stories with moves, not emotions anymore.
Yeah, a lot of storytelling has gone by the wayside as well. So good point. So yeah, I guess definitely for some reason we agree with what JR is wanting things to be. I think a lot of other people are, but we're not getting that given to us, especially on Wednesday nights from AEW. And even, yes, obviously WWE, they have that problem as well. But yeah, spot monkeys can be only so much fun before it gets redundant. So that's that little rant right there. Going to take one quick little break. I'm not sure Steven's going to continue with us.
No,
we're going to.
I got head out. It's 9.
Yeah, we said no. We're turning over to This Week in History. So thank you, Steven. We will talk to you next Wednesday on our Christmassy type show.
Yeah.
I'd like to talk about the 350-day documentary. If you haven't seen it, it's on Prime. It's actually wonderful.
We'll
watch
that
it
for next week. Well,
okay, I'll talk to you guys later.
Have a good one.
Hey wrestling fans, it's Sean from Scumbags of Wrestling. It might not look like Christmas right now, but it is around the corner, and you won't want to miss out on this amazing deal in support of Sick Kids Hospital on behalf of Steven's Wrestling Journey. Right now, if you contact me at scumbagswrestling@gmail.com, you'll get this amazing t-shirt designed by Nigel Lewis for just $30. And because it's Christmas, I'm going to throw in this stocking stuffer of a poster, 11 by 17, for free. Now you can still get this poster for $15. but you can get the whole combo for $30 right now until December 15th. So contact me at scumbagswrestling@gmail.com and support Sick Kids Hospital in Toronto and Steven's Wrestling Journey.
Okay, and we're back from that short little commercial. Definitely get in touch with me. I don't think you're going to have it in time for Christmas, but we'll definitely do our best to get it to you as soon as possible. However, also want to remind fans that we are on the drive to 500 fans. We are at 470-ish on our Facebook page. Well, I want to get to 500 by the end of the year. And end things on a good note. And if you are one of our fans already, invite your friends, add to it. If you're the person who's invited the most friends, you have a chance of winning one of those t-shirts. And if you are one of our newest fans, you have a chance of winning one of those t-shirts as well. So it's all on our drive to 500 fans on our Facebook page. Check us out on Facebook. And also send us a note on scumbagswrestling@gmail.com, over on Twitter at Scumbags Canada, Instagram at Scumbags Wrestling. We're available. We're fan-friendly, we're interactive. You can be part of the show as well, but sign up, join us, and you can win some great prizes, including the awesome shirt like you just saw in that commercial. But it's now time to turn it over to Jonesy for this week in history, and I'm going to try and follow along and add some visuals for you guys along the way. So, Jonesy, take it away.
All right. This is December 11th till the 17th. And, of course, we're going to start with December 11th. 45 years ago, All Japan Pro Wrestling heads to Budokan Hall in Tokyo, Japan for the first time. In the show's main event, Giant Baba and the Destroyer defeated Tori Funk Jr. and Jumbo Sorata. 23 years ago today at Raw's War taping, Triple H defeated Shawn Michaels to win the WWF European Championship. A year or so before the Finger Poke of Doom in WCW, the WWF did it first when Michaels laid down for Helmsley as the members of Degeneration X made a mockery of the match ordered by then WWF Commissioner Sergeant Slaughter.
If I remember right, just before you continue on, that same episode might be the same one that The Rock won the Intercontinental title, potentially, and also the Die Rocky Die poster first appeared. If I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure it was the same arena at least.
Okay.
But
well, yeah, you put a little note there, and we'll take a look at that. 15 years ago today, TNA presented Turning Point. The event is noted for the announcement of the acquisition of multi-time WCW champion Sting and the no-show of Jeff Hardy, which would lead him to be suspended and subsequently released from the company within 6 months left on his contract. 11 years ago today, War of Titans in Mexico, El Macias defeated Dr. Wagner Jr. in a Thunderdome cage match to win the AAA Mega Championship. And again, if you haven't seen that Thunderdome, it's a very nice looking dome, man. 10 years ago today, WWE presented tribute to the troops from Fort Hood in Killeen, Texas. An estimated 50,000 people were in attendance for the event. Mark Henry won the 15-man battle royal, last eliminating Sheamus, and Kane fought Major General Wim Grinsley in an arm wrestling contest. 9 years ago, it doesn't say who won, or I would have told you. Do you remember who won that?
No, I'm going to guess that the general one just to make the happy.
9 years ago today, TNA presented Final Resolution. Jeff Hardy defeated Jeff Jarrett in a steel cage match. With the win, the Jarretts were fired from TNA, and Hardy became the first contender, the number one contender to the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. This would be one of Double J's last pay-per-view matches with the company as he would move to behind the scenes. Bobby Roode and AJ Styles went to a 30-minute time limit draw tied at 3 apiece in an Iron Man match for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Also 9 years ago, WWE presented the first tributes of the troops, and it was to be held in an arena not away from an army base. So it's, presented the first tribute of the troops to be held away from an arena. Wow, that confused my brain. 6 years ago today, NXT presented TakeOver 3, Our Evolution, from Full Sail University in Winter Park, Florida. The show is noted for the debut of Kevin Owens, a.k.a. Kevin Steen. Sami Zayn defeated Adrian Neville to win the NXT Championship. And then he got that crap kicked out of him. It's a happy 46th birthday for Oscar Gutierrez, but wrestling fans know him best as Rey Mysterio Jr. Born in Chula Vista, California, which is a suburb of San Diego, Ray was trained by his uncle Rey Mysterio Sr. He was 14 when he made his debut. He wrestled in Mexico in AAA, moved on stateside and worked in ECW, then had a long stay in WCW. Ray would lose his mask while in WCW, but found it in WWE. His almost 30-year career and long list of accolades, including being a hero for all of us that are short, he is a living King Mystery, few will forget. And King Mystery is Rey Mysterio in Spanish. December 12th, 31 years ago today, WWF taped the No Holds Barred The Match, the movie from the Municipal Auditorium in Nashville, Tennessee. The No Holds Barred match, tag team steel cage match between the duo of Hulk Hogan and Brutus the Barber Beefcake, and the tandem of Macho Man Randy Savage and Zeus, which we just had dearly departed a few days ago. Actor Tiny Lister was featured bout of a wrestling challenge taping. The main match would become a pay-per-view, and the movie would air December 27th along with it. This would also be the final appearance on WWF TV for Zeus. And this event, doing the movie and the match, actually helped them at least break even for the production of the movie. 30 years ago, the AWA World Heavyweight Championship is retired when their champion Larry Zbyszko leaves for WCW. The American Wrestling Association had been inactive since the fall, but continued to air programming until 1991, when the promotion filed for bankruptcy and ultimately shut down. But obviously, they packed up all the tapes very nicely because Vince got those. And this seems to be a bit of a typo here. I have 2 years ago, but it's more than that. Presented Armageddon 2009, so that would have been 11 years ago. The Acolytes, Bradshaw and Farouk, won a tag team battle royal. Miss Kitty wins the WWF Women's Championship in an evening gown match and quickly flashed her puppies until Sergeant Slaughter covered her up. But half the nation, already including me, was already a tent-hut. Oh, I killed that joke. Damn it, you slime. Val Venus defeated the British Bulldog and D'Lo Brown in a triple threat match to win the WWF European Championship. Kane defeated X-Pac in a steel cage match. Chris Jericho defeated Chyna to win the WWF IC belt, and Triple H defeated Vince McMahon in a street fight.
I've noticed that half my photos from the first half of your report did not make it to the upload, even though I know I put it on my phone here. So
that's okay.
Anybody who's following along and looking at me looking curiously, I am trying to find the photos that match, but they did not load, regrettably. So carry on.
Oh, right then. Taking a short little break here, I think perhaps maybe we could try pre-taping this and just see how it would go to get rid of some of the mistakes on here. Anyway, Because some days I get tongue tied here. So 12 years ago today, WWE presented Armageddon 2008. Kurt Angle defeated Santa Claus, that bastard. Daniel Puder defeated Mike Mizan via judge's decision to win the $1 Million Tough Enough competition. And John Cena defeated Jesus in a street fight to retain the WWE US Championship. And the main event saw JBL defeat Eddie Guerrero, The Undertaker, and Booker T in a fatal four-way match and retained the championship. 13 years ago today, WWE releases Jingle with Jillian on iTunes. It was horrible, but did well in the UK. 10 years ago today, at a Lucha Libre USA Masked Warriors taping, saw Liz Mark Jr. defeat Charlie Malice, Marco Coloni, and RJ Brewer in a fatal four-way elimination match to become the first ever Lucha Libre USA champion. The show wasn't aired until the following October for MTV2, by which point Liz Mark Jr. had lost the title to Brewer. That's 10 months later. Wow. 9 years ago today, WWE aired a special edition of Raw featuring the 2011 Slammy Awards. The show was noted for the return of the remasked Kane. The pipe bomb that year went to CM Punk. WWE A-lister was Snooki. Yeah. And Superstar of the Year was CM Punk. Good year for wrestling, not so much for the celebrities, folks. It's a happy 39th birthday for Edward Moore, best known to wrestling fans as Eddie Kingston. Kingston is best known for his longtime association with Shakira, though he has also competed for Combat Zone Wrestling, IWA Mid-South, Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, and Ring of Honor. Kingston, a former Shakira Grand Champion, IWA Mid-South Heavyweight Champion, ZZW World Champion, and a two-time All-American Wrestling Heavyweight Champion. In September 2016, the well-traveled Kingston was among about 40 wrestlers invited to the WWE Performance Center for a tryout. Kingston joined TNA as a member of the Death Crew Council alongside James Storm and Bram. And he would be seen on NWA Power until COVID hit. Now he's in AEW. And it is a happy 54th birthday for Yoshiro Ashe, best known to wrestling fans as the Ultimo Dragon. Best known for his time in WCW. Ashe, who once had the gimmick of being the last student trained by legendary martial artist Bruce Lee, thus the name Ultimo Dragon, translating to the last dragon, is one of the most successful junior heavyweights ever, having held 10 belts at one time for about 1 week. He held all 10 of them. In fact, I remember him being on a WCW, I don't know if it was Saturday night, one of them, but him and Sonny Ono were carrying like all these freaking belts. Dragon is credited with popularizing the Asai, how do you say it? Asai
Moonsault.
Asai, there you go. Asai moonsault, a springboard moonsault from the apron of the ring to an opponent to the outside. Dragon also competed for the top 3 federations in Mexico, Universal Wrestling Association, AAA, and CMLL. In Japan, he wrestled for the Universal Wrestling Federation, Wrestle and Romance War, and briefly for New Japan Pro Wrestling. Dragon also briefly competed for WWE in parts of 2003 and 2004. And I believe he's in their Hall of Fame?
Not sure. I don't think he made it there yet.
All right. He will, though, I'm sure, because he's retired now, I believe.
Yeah, I saw him last year, 2019, with Chris Maloney, and we went to Smash Wrestling for the Northern Tournament, and it was 2 nights, and he was there for both of those. Moving rather slowly when he's out of the ring, but doesn't look like he missed a step when he's in the ring. So, yeah, definitely a night and day between the bells.
And it's a happy 56th birthday for Terry Michael Brunk, best known to wrestling fans as Sabu. Trained by his uncle Ed the Sheik Fairhat, Sabu would become the genocidal, homicidal. Holy shit, he just ripped his heart open. My God. It's a happy 69th birthday for Gary Michael Capetta, once dubbed the world's most dangerous ring announcer. Capetta is most famously known for his work in WCW in the early 90s, though he also did work for AWA, the WWF, Pro Wrestling USA, and various independents. Capetta wrote an autobiography released in 2006, Buddy Slam's Memoirs of a Wrestling Pitchman, and wrote, directed, and starred in a one-man show based on his autobiography. Buddy Slams and beyond, Capetta is also a Spanish teacher. I did like his voice. He had a great voice. He sounded great when he said Sting and Ricky the Dragon. Just great.
I think he was at StarCast recently and even did at least one-off announcing for AEW on one of their pay-per-views.
Nice. And it would have been a 86th birthday for Guadalupe Robledo, best known to wrestling fans as Jose Lothario, competing primarily for the National Wrestling Alliance Florida and Houston territories. Lothario is most famously known to younger fans as the trainer for WWE Hall of Famer Shawn Michaels. He managed Michaels in '96 during Shawn's run as WWF champion. Jose's wife, Jean, wrestled for the Southwest Wrestling Alliance, and the couple have 2 children, Pete, who is a wrestler in Texas, and Gina. And finally, it would have been a 97th birthday to Robert William Barker, or simply Bob Barker. The one-time Raw guest host, he hosted the Labor Day 2009 edition of the show, one that got him a WWE Salami for Best Guest Host. And longtime animal rights activist, had a long career in radio and television. He hosted the Bob Barker Show from 1950 to 1956 on a radio station in Burbank, and of course hosted The Price is Right for decades. And don't forget to get your pet spayed or neutered.
And he took down Happy Gilmore.
Yes, he did. He sure did take down Happy Gilmore. So December 13th, 49 years ago today, Antonio Inoki's apparent coup to take over the Japan Wrestling Association goes up in flames when he's fired from the company. Inoki would start his own promotion, New Japan Pro Wrestling, the next year. Giant Baba, JWA's other big name, leaves the next year to form his own company, All Japan Pro Wrestling. Without their 2 biggest names, JWA shuts down in '73. 33 years ago today in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, the home of everyone's favorite Iron Mark Sharp, yes?
And the home of Tim Hortons.
And the home of Tim Hortons, that's right. And isn't it funny? Does that make me a good Canadian or a bad Canadian that I forget that Tim Horton lives there, but I know Mike Sharp, that's his hometown.
Well, I don't know if Tim Horton lived there, but that's where the first Tim Hortons restaurant started.
Oh, okay.
And there's a Tim Hortons restaurant museum even there.
Ooh. I mean, they actually have like a restaurant?
Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of cool. Might check that out, see what Timmy's can cook up. So, in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, Dynamite Kid suffers a severe back injury, which leads to the soon demise of the Bulldogs. The Bulldogs were told to drop the belts to the Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov. However, Dynamite would only drop the belts to the Hart Foundation. 33 years ago today, AWA, in association with World Class Wrestling Association, Powerful Women of Wrestling, and Championship Wrestling Association, presented Super Clash 3 from Chicago, Illinois. The lone AWA pay-per-view was a financial failure, with just 1,672 fans in attendance and only about 40,000 homes watching on pay-per-view. The financial disaster resulted in many of the participants on the show not seeing a dime of the revenue, basically killing AWA founder Vern Gagne's working relationship with the other promotions. Greg Gagne defeated Ronnie Garvin by countout to win the AWA World Television Championship. Garvin lost by countout because he signed with the WWF but refused to be pinned, so the belt changed hands on a countout. Sergeant Slaughter defeated Colonel De Beers in a boot camp match, and Jerry Lawler defeated Kerry Von Erich via referee stoppage because of excessive blood loss by Ben Erich to unify the AWA and WCWA World Heavyweight Championships. 31 years ago, WCW presented Starrcade 89 Future Shock. The hook of the show was a pair of one-night round-robin tournaments featuring the top 4 single wrestlers and top 4 tag teams in WCW. A point system would be used to determine the winner. The Road Warriors defeated the New Wild Samoans, winning the Iron Tag Team Tournament with 40 points. The Steiner brothers were second with 35, followed by the New Wild Samoans with 30. And Doom got shut out, got the old skunk. Sting defeated Ric Flair, winning the Iron Man tournament with 40 points. Luger finished second with 35, followed by Ric Flair at 25. And Great Muta, surprisingly, didn't get nothing. Wow, you come out to America and you get nothing. 31 years ago today in Huntsville, Alabama, the Colossal Connection, Andre the Giant, and Haku defeated Demolition Axe and Smash to win the WWF Tag Team Championship. That championship would be Andre's last. 27 years ago today, Alundra Blaze defeated Heidi Lee Morgan in the finals of a tournament to win the vacated WWF Women's Championship. 25 years ago today, 2 years later, the WWF Women's Championship is deactivated. The title's deactivation came when its champion, Alundra Blaze, and the entire women's division was let go by the WWF due to cost-cutting measures. 5 days later, the belt would be trashed in WCW by Medusa. 22 years ago today in Tokyo, Japan, Rob Van Dam and Sabu defeated the Dudley Boys, Bubba Ray, and Devon to win the ECW World Tag Team Championship. 22 years ago today, WWF presented In Your House 26, Rock Bottom. In matches airing on Sunday Night Heat, we've seen Gilbert defeating Matt Hardy in just 62 seconds to retain the WWF Lightweight Heavyweight Championship. I'd like to know what the hell happened there, how he got it in 62. You remember?
No idea.
All right.
It was on the pre-show, so who knows?
Yeah. The Brood, Christian, Edge, and Gangrel defeated the Job Squad, Al Snow, Bob Holly, and Scorpio. Mankind defeated The Rock by countout, and Steve Austin defeated The Undertaker in a Buried Alive match to qualify for the 99 Royal Rumble match. 21 years ago today on Nitro, the Outsiders Scott Hall and Kevin Nash defeated Bret Hart and Goldberg to win the WCW Tag Team Championship. 17 years ago in Zurich, Switzerland, Sting defeated Lex Luger and Malice in a three-way dance to win the World Wrestling All-Stars World Heavyweight Championship. 15 years ago today at a SmackDown taping, Batista and Rey Mysterio defeated Eminem, Joey Mercury, and Johnny Nitro to win the WWE Tag Team Championship and would air on the 16th of December. 12 years ago today in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, John Morrison and The Miz defeat CM Punk and Kofi Kingston to win the World Tag Team Championship. 11 years ago today, WWE presented the first TLC tables, ladders, and chairs replacing Armageddon. Drew McIntyre defeated John Morrison to win the WWE IC belt. Sheamus defeated John Cena in a tables match to win the WWE Championship. And DX, Shawn Michaels and Triple H defeated Jerry Show, Chris Jericho, and The Big Show in a tables, ladders, and chairs match to win the WWE Unified Tag Team Championships. 10 years ago today, WWE presented the 2010 Slammy Awards on a special edition of Raw. The shocker of the year, the Nexus take out Mr. McMahon. Despicable Me Award, most disgusting moment went to CM Punk sings Happy Birthday to Rey Mysterio's daughter. Moment of the year, Undertaker retires Shawn Michaels, and the superstar of the year was John Cena. And today would have been the 37th birthday of Christopher Darren Travis, or simply Chris Travis. Born in Sheffield, England, Travis began wrestling in North England. He wrestled primarily for Grand Pro Wrestling and Norton British Wrestling. In the late 2000s, in October 2014, Travis announced he was diagnosed with stomach cancer and was forced to take a hiatus from wrestling. Many wrestlers gave words of encouragement as Travis did charity work to raise funds for cancer research. In June 2015, Travis announced he had beaten cancer and he would return to the ring. On August 7, 2015, Travis made his wrestling return. But unfortunately, on September 21, 2015, Travis announced the stomach cancer had returned and that he would retire from wrestling. The cancer would claim his life on March 31, 2016. He was just 32. Just a month before his passing, Travis married his longtime girlfriend. Tributes for Travis poured in from all over the wrestling world, and fans and pro wrestlers petitioned for the WWE for him to be posthumously given the Warrior Award. In 2016, Cody Rhodes and Tommaso Ciampa began our ladder fundraising campaign dedicated to raising money for Cavendish Cancer Care in Travis's hometown of Sheffield, England. And today would also have been the 64th birthday of Sylvester Ritter, best known to wrestling fans as the Junkyard Dog. He was born in Wattesboro, North Carolina, an All-American with Fayetteville State University. He began his wrestling career. After working for Jerry Jarrett, Nick Gullis, and Stu Hart Stampede Wrestling as Big Daddy Ritter, where he won their North American heavyweight title twice. He wrestled for Bill Watts Mid-South Wrestling in the early 1980s under his most famous gimmick, the Junkyard Dog. Ritter made his WWF debut in 1984 on blah, 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 blah. In February of 91, JYD would win his first championship. It actually took him a while, but he did. The short-lived WCW six-man tag team titles, winning them with Ricky Morton and Tommy Rich over Dr. Z, Dutch Mantel, and Buddy Ladell. He left WCW for good in 1993 and largely retired in June 2nd, 1998, as Ritter returned from his daughter LaToya's high school graduation in Wadesboro, North Carolina. He fell asleep at the wheel and suffered what would be a fatal single car accident in Forest, Mississippi. He was 45. Ritter was active in wrestling business until his death, training husband and wife Rodney and Carlene Bernard, a.k.a. Rodney Mack, in jazz. His daughter LaToya and sister Christy Woodburn represented Sylvester when he was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2004. On to December 14th. 53 years ago today in Minneapolis, Minnesota, Vern Gagne defeated the Crusher to win the AWA World Heavyweight Championship for the 6th time. Wow, he's a handsome-looking fellow. 34 years ago.
Owner gets the title.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. 34 years ago today, WWF tapes the 9th edition of Saturday Night's Main Event. The show aired on January 3rd, 1987, and served as the final match in a long rivalry between Hogan and Paul Orndorff. Hogan defeated Orndorff in a steel cage match to retain the WWF Championship. The match was restarted when both men hit the floor at the same time when they escaped the cage. Adrian Adonis defeated Roddy Piper by countout, and Blackjack Mulligan defeated Jimmy Jack Funk. There's a name I haven't heard in a long time, Jimmy Jack Funk. 28 years ago today in Tokyo, Japan, the Hellraisers, Road Warrior Hawk and Power Warrior Kensuke Sasaki defeated Scott Norton and Tony Helm, Ludwig Borga, to win the IWGP Tag Team Championship. 22 years ago today on Raw's War, the Big Boss Man and Ken Shamrock defeat the New Age Outlaws to win the WWF Tag Team Championship. 17 years ago today, WWE presented Armageddon from the TD Waterhouse Center. Randy Orton defeated Rob Van Dam to win the IC belt. Mick Foley was the special referee. Evolution, Ric Flair, Batista defeated the Dudley Boys in a tag team turmoil match to win the World Tag Team Championship. And Triple H defeated Goldberg and Kane in a triple threat match to win the World Heavyweight Championship. 12 years ago today, WWE presented Armageddon. CM Punk defeated Rey Mysterio to become the #1 contender for the WWE IC belt, and Jeff Hardy defeated Edge and Triple H in a triple threat match to win the WWE Championship. 7 years ago today, WWE presented the 2009 Slammy Awards on a special edition of Raw. The superstar of the year was John Cena, of course. Breakout star was Sheamus, and the match of the year was The Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 25. 7 years ago today, Ring of Honor presented the Final Battle 2013. It saw Kevin Steen defeat Michael Bennett in a stretcher match. Tommaso Ciampa defeated Matt Tavern to win the ROH World TV belt. Adam Cole defeated Jay Briscoe and Michael Elgin in a three-way match to retain the ROH World Championship. Post-match, Chris Hero returned to the Ring of Honor after a stint in WWE Developmental. And also a side note is Hero was challenging for the ZZW World Championship in Philadelphia just a few hours before he made his return to ROH. December 15th. 57 years ago today, Ricky Dozen dies from complications from a stab wound he suffered in a Tokyo nightclub. He was just 38. Interesting tidbits of his life. Born Mitsuhiro Momota, November 4th, 1924, in South Hamgyong. He trained as a sumo wrestler under the Nahoshin stable. He debuted in May 1940 in Masashiro Momota, named for his adopted family, a family that would later disown him due to discrimination against Koreans in Japan. That is when he was renamed Riki Dozen. In 1946, he reached the top division in the sport of sumo. In 1946, he would finish first runner-up in a tournament in 1947, won by Yokozuna Hagoromayama. He reached the Shikiwake, a rank of sumo wrestlers, the third highest rank in sumo, behind Yokozuna and Ozeki. Over a 10-year career in sumo, he compiled a 135 82 loss and 15 record. Riki Dozen newfound success got him into real estate as he began purchasing nightclubs, hotels, and condos. He even got into promoting, establishing Japan's first pro wrestling promotion, the Japan Pro Wrestling Alliance, in 1953. His biggest feuds would be against his trainer, Makashiko Kimura, Lou Thez, Freddie Blassie, and The Destroyer. Two of his biggest bouts are among the most watched programs in Japanese television history. A 1-hour draw against Lou Thez for the NWA World title in October of 1957, and a best-of-3 falls match against The Destroyer in May of 1963. Riki Dozen would appear in more than 24 films, and a biographical film was released in 2004. Riki Dozen is often credited as being one of the primary influences of professional wrestling gaining prominence in the land of the rising sun. He is a member of the 2017 WWE Hall of Fame Legacy Wing. 43 years ago today in Tokyo, Japan, Terry and Dory Funk Jr. defeated Abdullah the Butcher and the Sheik to win the inaugural All Japan Pro Wrestling Real World Tag League Tournament. 33 years ago today, the WWF presented the second Slammy Awards from Caesars in Atlantic City, New Jersey. The show is best remembered for Vince McMahon's dance number of Stand Back. The video would first resurface more than a decade later on the May 28, 2001 Raw is War, but most notably in 2006 during the D-Generation X McMahon feud in 2006. Oh, there was Dancing Girls, Hogan on the guitar, and many top superstars on horns, and Georgia Animal Steel on tambourine. As silly as it looks, it is. It just showed how they would do pretty much anything, and it just worked. And the set looks great. It's hilarious to watch. It's just great.
I watched the videos the other day from that whole thing. There, YouTube has the different performances, including Jimmy Hart singing "Girls in Cars," Honky doing his Honky Tonk Man song, Jesse Ventura's on piano for that song, and then you got, as this, you see right now, the picture with Vince McMahon. It's surprising he was able to choreograph his dance moves and just didn't stand there.
He is an entertainer.
Yeah, he did well for what he had going for him. I think worse was trying to see Hogan, Beefcake Savage, and Jake be in time with their trumpets, and then the other three on their saxophones with JYD and the Killer Bees. It's just really a train wreck watching them. But Vince
Did you recognize any of the women? Were they wrestlers or were they actually trained dancers?
I think they were just dancers. I don't think there were anybody else.
I like that old classic set of that time. It just awesome. So let's see. We are at there we go, right there. 25 years ago today in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, Stu Hart tribute was held at Calgary Corral, the home base for many Stampede wrestling events. In the featured bout, WWF champion Bret Hart defeated Davey Boy Smith. 24 years ago today, WWF presented In Your House 12. It's time. In a free-for-all pre-show, Rocky Maivia defeated Salvatore Sincero by disqualification. Owen Hart and the British Bulldog defeated Fake Diesel and Fake Razor Ramon to retain the WWF World Tag Team Championship. And yeah, there's not much to report on that show. It just kind of 23 years ago. Sorry?
It was just their show.
Yeah, it was. It was just there. Those were the two most interesting matches. 23 years ago today on Nitro, Bret Hart makes his WCW debut as announced special referee for Larry Zbyszko versus Eric Bischoff at Starrcade. 23 years ago today, Vince McMahon announces a change in creative direction on an episode of Raw is War, with McMahon giving the cure for the common show speech. This episode of Raw was also the first introduction of the company's scratch logo. The scratch logo was briefly used with the WWE's New Generation slanted logo for a few months before transitioning fully to the scratch logo at WrestleMania 14. 19 years ago today, Thomas Russell Haas, a.k.a. Russ Haas, was found dead in his home in Cincinnati, Ohio. He was 27. Born March 27th, 1974 in Menard, Oklahoma, Haas is a third-generation sportsman. He joined his brother Charlie as the Haas brothers and would win tag team championships for Northern Eastern Promotions, Jersey All Pro Wrestling, the East Coast Wrestling Association, and Combat Zone Wrestling. Following a tryout in August 2000, the brothers signed a contract with the World Wrestling Federation and would wrestle for the developmental territories at the time, the Heartland Wrestling Association and Memphis Championship Wrestling. It was in MCW where they had their biggest success, winning the tag titles 3 times in early 2001. And here comes the bad news. On September 24th, 2001, Russ suffered a heart attack. Though he would recover, he would have a second heart attack while sleeping on December 15th in 2001. The second one proved fatal. Russ was just 27 years old. Harley briefly wrestled as R.C. Haas in a tribute to his brother, writing Russ on his wristband tapes, which he continues to do till he retired. In June 2010, Charlie Haas and his wife Jackie Gada named their first son Thomas Russell Haas. 16 years ago today, ECW presented what would be the last taping of Hardcore TV. The Dudley Boys and Taz, all contracted to the WWF at the time, returned to the promotion for a one-off appearance. Also in the crowd for the show was Smashing Pumpkins frontman and future wrestling promoter Billy Corgan. The final episodes aired in December of that year. 18 years ago, WWE presented Armageddon 2002, which saw Booker T and Goldust in a fatal four-way elimination match, which they won the World Tag Team Championship. Kurt Angle defeated the Big Slow to win the WWE Championship, and Triple H defeated Shawn Michaels 2-1 in a 3 Stages of Hell match to win the World Heavyweight Championship. 10 years ago today, CBS announces via press release they would air reality series Armed and Famous, chronicling 5 celebrities becoming sworn officers in Muncie, Indiana. The series featuring Eric Estrada, LaToya Jackson, Jack Osborne, Jason Weeman, Aqua, I guess, and Trish Stratus. It would be canceled after 2 episodes. Google it if you want to see the other episodes. They are out there. There was actually a total of 8 episodes made. 7 years ago today, WWE presented Tables, Ladders, and Chairs. The show's main hook was the unification match for the WWE and World Heavyweight Championships. CM Punk defeated The Shield, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and Dean Ambrose in a 3-on-1 handicap match. The White Family, Bray Wyatt, Eric Rowan, and Luke Harper defeated Daniel Bryan in a 3-on-1 handicap match. Randy Orton defeated John Cena in a Tables, Ladders, Chairs match to unify the WWE and World Heavyweight Championship. On to December 16th. 103 years ago today, wrestling legend Frank Gotch died of uremic poisoning in his hometown of Humboldt, Iowa. He was just 39. Uremia occurs when your kidneys become damaged. The toxins or bodily waste that your kidneys normally send out in your urine end up in your bloodstream instead. These toxins are known as creatine and urea. Wow, isn't that great? Anyways, enough about Frank Gotch. 30 years ago today, NWA and WCW presented Starrcade 90 Collision Course. One of the show's main hooks was the Pat O'Connor Memorial International Cup Tag Team Tournament, the wrestling legend who died earlier in the year of cancer. The other was the payoff of one of wrestling's most famous angles, the Black Scorpion. We've seen the Team USA defeat Team Japan to win the tag team tournament. Lex Luger defeated Stan Hansen in a bull rope match to win the NWA United States belt. And Sting defeated Black Scorpion in a steel cage match to retain the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. And post the match, of course, oh no, it's Ric Flair. 20 years. Sorry?
We haven't seen anything from our Black Scorpion for a while.
I know, and we've made mention of Black Scorpion in the last 2 episodes. So, oh well, that's okay. I'm sure hopefully he's out there and he's okay. So, 20 years ago today, Lucha Libre legend Blue Demon died of a heart attack on his way home from his morning training session. He was just 78. Little thing on him. At age 67, the Blue Diamond actually retired in 89, teaming with his adoptive son, Blue Demon Jr., in his final match. That year, documentary Blue Demon the Champion was released. Blue Demon would die of natural causes while on the beach near a subway kiosk on his way home from his regular morning training sessions at the Blue Demon school, I guess. I ain't saying that word, where he would pass on his fighting teachings to others. Blue Demon was buried with his trademark blue mask, a mask he would never remove publicly. 14 years ago today in Cacas, Puerto Rico, Carlito defeated John Heidenreich to win the World Wrestling Council Universal Championship. Moments later, he lost the title back to Heidenreich. Why did I even bother? 13 years ago today, WWE presented Armageddon. Shawn Michaels defeated Mr. Kennedy. Jeff Hardy defeated Triple H to earn a WWE Championship match at the 2008 Royal Rumble event. And Edge defeated Batista and The Undertaker in a triple threat match to win the World Heavyweight Championship. And we got some small things here. 12 years ago today at a TNA Impact, Lethal Consequence, Jay Lethal and Consequences Creed defeated Beer Money, James Storm, and Robert Roode to win the TNA World Tag Team Championship. 11 years ago, TNA Christy Hemme announces her retirement from in-ring competitions, citing her concerns of re-injuring her neck. 8 years ago. So
I was
go ahead.
surprised to find out that she, when I was doing her birthday thing for her Superstar of the Day post, turned out she is somebody who has 5 kids, and 4 of them came all at the same time. She gave birth to quadruplets.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. That'd be awesome to have 4 of the same people. 8 years ago today, Ring of Honor presented Final Battle, Doomsday from the Hammerstein Ballroom in New York City. The show featured the final in-ring appearance of El Generico. We don't need to go through that card, I don't think. But we will say Kevin Steen defeated Sami Zayn, El Generico, in a ladder War 4 to retain the ROH World Championship. We've got 8 years ago today, WWE presented TLC, which was in 2012. The Shield defeated Team Hell No, which was Kane and Daniel Bryant, and Ryback in a tables, ladders, and chairs match. Alberto Del Rio, the Brooklyn Brawler, and The Miz defeated 3MB. Yuck. Just yuck. That must have been a horrible match. Dolph Ziggler defeated John Cena in a World Heavyweight Championship Money in the Bank ladder match. 7 years ago today, Alan Jones, best known to wrestling fans as AJ Styles, leaves TNA after 11 years with the company. 6 years ago today, WWE presented Super SmackDown Live from the Van Andel Arena in Grand Rapids, Michigan. The show was a milestone one, as it was the 800th episode of the series. 5 years ago today, NXT presented TakeOver London from the SSE Arena in Wembley, England. This was the first TakeOver event presented outside the United States. And finally, going into December 17th, 114 years ago today in Kansas City, Missouri, Frank Gotch defeated Fred Beal to win the American Heavyweight Championship for the 3rd time. 41 years ago today in New York City, Bob Backlund defeated Bobby Duncombe in a Texas death match to win the vacated WWF Championship. But this win doesn't really matter because in WWE land, yada, 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 he never lost a belt to Inoki. 21 years ago today, WWF presented In Your House 5 Seasons Beatings. Alma Johnson defeated Buddy Landel in just 42 seconds. Landel was the substitute opponent for Dean Douglas, who claimed a back injury as the reason for not competing. For Douglas, this was his last WWF appearance as he was released following the event. Hunter Hearst Helmsley defeated Henry O. Godwin in an Arkansas hog pen match. Hillbilly Jim was the special referee. That was a fantastic match. Owen Hart defeated Diesel by DQ, and The Undertaker defeated King Mabel in a casket match. And the main event saw Bret Hart defeat the British Bulldog to retain the WWF Championship. 21 years ago today at an ECW on TNN taping in Nashville, Tennessee, Masato Tanaka defeated Mike Awesome to win the ECW World Heavyweight Championship. 20 years ago today, WCW presented Starrcade, Only Months to Live. 6,596 were in attendance, with just 50,000 homes watching on pay-per-view. Looking at the numbers, 1999's event had 145,000 buys. 98's event had 460,000 buys. 97's event, the high point of WCW's history, had 700,000 buys. From its Starrcade 97 buy rate, 1.9, to this, which was 0.11, or 1 in 1,000 with pay-per-view access. WCW had lost 95% of its pay-per-view audience in just 3 years. Wowzers. 3 count, and this kind of says it, 3, and these are the good matches. 3 count, Shane Helms and Shannon Moore defeated Kaz Hayashi and Yang and Jamie Noble and Evan Courageous in a three-way team ladder match, and that's actually a good match. Terry Funk. Sorry?
It was a really good match.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if that's the one or it's a different one that's on the best of the ladders matches WWF DVD that came out 15 years ago probably now. Anyways, Terry Funk defeated Crowbar to win the WCW Hardcore Championship. Mike Awesome defeated Bam Bam Bigelow in an ambulance match. The Insiders Kevin Nash and Diamond Dallas Page defeated Perfect Event, Chuck Palumbo, and Sean Stasiak to win the WCW World Tag Belts. Goldberg defeated Luger, and Scott Steiner defeated Sid Vicious to retain the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. All right, 15 years ago today, Ring of Honor presented Final Battle. Among those on the card were Colt Cabana, Nigel McGuinness, Alex Shelley, Steve Corino, Jay Lethal, Christopher Daniels, Samoa Joe, Austin Aries, Brian Danielson, Kenta, and Loki. That's a pretty good most of those guys all made it big. 14 years ago today, WWE presented Armageddon. From 2006, Kane defeated MVP in an Inferno match. Paul London and Brian Kendrick defeated William Regal and Dave Taylor, Eminem, and the Hardys in a fatal four-way ladder match to retain the belts. Joey Mercury suffered a gruesome nose injury in the bout when he was hit in the face with a ladder. Mercury required more than 30 stitches and wore a protective mask for some time. The Undertaker defeated Mr. Kennedy in a last ride match. And ending it all out, it's a happy 45th birthday for Nicholas Dinsmore, best known for his time as Eugene in the WWE from 2004 and 2007. Dinsmore had a great stay in OVW as the heavyweight champion 10 times and Southern Tag Team Championships 11 times, 10 of them as one half of the Lords of the Ring with Rob Conway. And I would like to go back and look at his career because I'd like to see him when he was a serious wrestler and not the comical one he became. Though, you could tell he was very talented because he had to know so many guys' moves and the mannerisms. He was actually a really good wrestler. And I think that's why that character worked.
Yeah, he was on the line of, say, Chris Benoit, a Steve Austin when he was stunning Steve Austin, technical wrestler, William Regal, that type of technical wrestler, technician in the ring. Definitely really good to see. And I believe he's doing his own school as well right now. But yeah, so thank you for taking
you could slap face paint on him and he'd be a doink in a heartbeat.
I think he was at one point.
Was he?
And with his hair like that, you just have to color it. But thank you for taking us for another trip down memory lane. Before we sign off, what was that show that you'd like people to watch?
Oh, that it's a documentary. It is on Prime. Prime has a crap load of wrestling documentaries and shows. This one is 350 days. It's basically just a bunch of interviews that were done, some dating back, but most of them are up to date before a lot of these guys died and stuff like that.
Okay.
Wow, Marty Jannetty looks the worst in this. You can tell he's so frigged up, but it basically tells the wear and tear that it takes on these guys. And there's some ugly wrestlers in there. My favorite is Ox Baker. What an ugly guy, but man, you just want to go back and watch his stuff because he looked like he was just loved doing what he did.
Yeah, and he had big bushy eyebrows.
Yeah.
I remember him from the AWA. So yeah, definitely Prime has a lot of documentaries. I actually got my wife to watch the Sheik documentary. We had already seen Jake Roberts and Ted DiBiase's, and those are also available on there. So yeah, we'll check out 350, you said, and yeah, hopefully talk about it next week on the show. We're also going to have results from TLC, which is happening this Sunday on WD Network, We'll talk about the year end in wrestling. There's definitely, unfortunately, nothing really to go over in the Ontario scene, but we'll look at some of the best of potentially awards also for this year in the majors, whether it's AEW, WWE, Impact, New Japan. So we'll do that. Holden Albright is going to be with us for Go Hard Pro, promoting that the night before it goes on YouTube on Christmas Eve. And we'll also do This Week in Wrestling, as you've already sent me a list that I have to look at and hopefully get better flow for our photos, because I don't know what happened that we lost the first first day or two on this.
Next week is shorter. It's only like 6 or 7 pages. So
no, that's not bad. So we'll get through that. But yeah, that is our show. Definitely remember we're on the drive to 500. So sign up your friends for our page on Facebook, and you have a chance at winning a Scumbags Wrestling T-shirt, along with the person you invite might also win one as well. That's about it. Canadian Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame presented by CWN. We're doing the ceremony on January 18th. That'll be on the CWN broadcast thing, but we'll share it everywhere as well. I'm going to wrap this up because we're at 10 o'clock. So thank you, everybody. Twitch, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, YouTube, Facebook, everywhere that you get us, whether it's visual or audio. Thank you, and we are out of here.